Hey, Margaret.
Yeah, Anton?
You know what people don't talk about enough?
What?
Felice's sense of love has got to be messed up. Welcome to People Don't Talk About, Young Royals. I'm Anton, my pronouns are he, they.
And I'm Margaret, my pronouns are they, them.
And we're people, here to discuss the show our friends are sick of hearing us talk about.
If that sounds like you, stick around. If your friends sent you this podcast out of a desperate attempt to get you to watch Young Royals, take this as a sign.
Go watch Young Royals, then come back to this podcast.
Anton, what are we talking about today?
Today we'll be having a character discussion of Felice in Season 1, Episode 3, having decided that it's complicated.
In this discussion, we won't be summarizing the plot of the episode, because we already did that. If you need or want a refresher, head back 8 episodes in our feed to our most recent This Week at Hilarska for a full breakdown. This episode discussion will likely be all over the place, so strap in. You have been warned.
Okay. So, it literally just, hit me in, a flash of inspiration as I was watching the scene with Felice and her mom on her bed, is... love is criticism and expectations.
Yeah.
For Felice.
Yeah.
Which I do feel is what she failed to communicate to Sarah, but we'll get there. We've mentioned it before in Love Among Royals, but to really, dive deep, this episode does a great job of just immediately painting a picture of Felice that, oh no, I do get it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. And now I feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I would for sure agree with that. Because they jump right in this episode.
Because it's we did assassinate her in the first episode. It wasn't as hard of an assassination as August, but
nothing.
We still did, and we admitted that, then we admitted things were complicated because she was coming around last episode in Felice the Nice.
Is that what we called her last cycle?
Yeah, Felice the Nice.
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's really high quality.
And now I feel like it's the situation where she didn't do, well, take that back. She did do some questionable things, what am I saying, this episode. But they're not the same level of questionable or the same type of questionable as the first episode.
No.
And with the context we get in this episode, the much bigger, oh shit moments are now couched in being oh, I see her perspective now, and I know where she's gotten these ideas from. We kept, as mentioned before, we kept alluding in the first 2 episodes that she has these ideas, and these ideas have to have come from somewhere because they're not the kind of things that you just come up with on your own, really.
Yeah.
Or very rarely they are, and so now that it's been fully, as I said, placed in context, and we get basically what her deal is and the sort of pressure that has been placed on her.
Yeah.
I think it totally makes sense. I mean, everything she does makes sense, which is always, which is just, you can say that about a lot of characters, and you can say that about characters, specifically August, that we've also assassinated, but it's I see her just in this position of she's floundering. Let's just say that.
Yeah. She also everything questionable.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this isn't exactly true, but most of what is questionable in this episode is from her own ideas of I'm not enough for my parents, I need to be the best possible version of myself, and then B, lack of communication, which I was a 16-year-old once, you were a 16-year-old once.
Right.
I don't think I've ever had good communication when I was a 16-year-old.
Right. Exactly.
Like, or at
exactly.
least effective communication to the extent
Exactly.
that it would have had to have been to get across what needed to get across.
Yeah. Like rewatching that scene in in like not the stables, but like
The riding arena.
the riding arena, yes, between Sarah and Felice. Like
Mm-hmm.
you see both of them in that. Like you see Sarah start to be vulnerable, and you see Felice being vulnerable back. But undoubtedly, like Sarah was way more forthright.
Yeah, they're like being vulnerable on two different planes.
Yeah.
Like Felice is like,
like
giving the hints and hoping that she doesn't have to say it.
yeah, which is
And
very
Sarah
Haleshka
is
of her,
like, no, my dad sucks.
yeah, exactly. And so like, and I think I am glad like to that end that like she doesn't necessarily seem like outright like pissed at Sarah. Like she's not redirecting those feelings. She does kind of just immediately turn it into self-pity, which
Yeah.
is also not the most healthy, but it's at least like she can recognize, as shitty as the whole situation is, that she is in a hellish situation of her own making. Like, I guess to maybe like just outline some of the specifics of it though, of like, I don't know, I was really focusing on Felice's mom this time.
Mm-hmm.
And just the degree to which a lot of the things she talks about, I mean, granted, she does not have that much screen time or lines, but it's just like she's talking about horseback riding or her life at Halershka, like most of the time.
Yeah, or
Except-
like fishing for, are you
Yeah.
getting with the prince?
Exactly. Like, how are things going? They're good. And like, how are things with Wilhelm? Like that's
Yeah.
like literally how things go down. Which like then you see Wilhelm sit down, and I was like, I wrote down like, okay, I'm not trying to be disgusting with this or anything, but like, God, Smieson is almost like uncomfortably thirsty for Wilhelm. Like, not in like a direct way, but like in like a I want you to date my daughter way. Like it gets, once we know that, it's like it's all I see.
Hang on.
What?
Is it really? I don't think I ever paid attention to that part.
What specifically when she asked him if he still rides anymore. Look at her eyes.
All right, I'm pulling it up. You're so right. Ew. Like, I'm just
Thank
looking
you.
at this
I feel
screen cap,
justified. Yeah.
like right as he
Yeah.
asks Simon to sit down.
Okay, but then move ahead to when like she asks him if like what is like if he still horseback rides. Like the way she asks it.
I feel icky. She really is just like searching for that. Ugh.
Yeah. I never looked at her that closely, but I was like, oh my God.
Side note, we were robbed by not having Horseboy Wilhelm. Just saying.
No fair. I mean, we do get it implied that he used to be a horseboy.
I know, but
Yeah.
we were robbed.
But okay, moving past that kind of that uncomfortable point, like I think when that, as you, yeah, Margaret is showing me their screen right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, okay, then regardless of how the kind of oopsie from Sarah happens,
Mm-hmm.
like, I think I've put together this time that like Wilhelm recognizes that moment of like unspoken criticism from your mom.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, because it's also what he knows from his mother.
exactly. And that's the thing that I didn't realize until this rewatch. I was like, oh, of course you would pick up on that dynamic.
Oh, yeah, trauma knows trauma.
Like, of course, like, you would have been in a situation where your mom has to reprimand you without causing an international incident.
Yeah, you mean like 2 weeks ago when he got into a fight? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. From that, like, I wrote down, I know you basically skip it every single time. I don't know if you watched it for this, but I'm like, the kiss was going to happen and we don't have to like it, but it does feel hard to shit on Felice too hard for it.
I don't shit on Felice too hard. It's just uncomfortable.
No.
Because, like, it was gonna happen,
really
and as soon as he walks out there, and when she goes, "Do you think I'm perfect?" or whatever she says, and he says, "Of course," or whatever he says, you knew it was gonna happen. It was a matter of when, not if. You know?
Yeah. It is really interesting, and this is a little bit more of a Love Memorials point, and I think we might have even already covered it, but, like, that Wilhelm can have such empathy for how Felice is feeling in that moment and not go a few steps forward knowing that, like,
Yeah.
saying that everyone thinks you're perfect is not the thing to say in this moment.
Oh, yeah. There's, like, such empathy without lack of awareness, which I think is a special skill to have.
Yeah. But I think also, I would imagine, like, in a situation where Wilhelm is potentially playing Eric in the situation of when it would happen, like, I think Eric is maybe one to go for the comforting lie.
Yeah.
Or, like, something that, like, probably wouldn't entirely ring true, but, like, is something that is going to feel good hearing.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't have any evidence to back that up, but that's just the vibe I get.
That's a vibe I get as well.
Yeah. And so, like, best of intentions, but it's like, this was going to happen.
Yeah, and it's really kind of funny how shocked he is. But this is the Felice episode.
It is. But, well, I'm saying that insofar as, like, and not that I've seen people shit on Felice for it, but I think it's just, like, in an episode where, like, we're not standing Felice, but we're also not assassinating her. I want to recognize, like, kissing someone without their consent with, like, basically no warning. A little bit of a dick move.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you fully get emotionally where she's at that moment. So it's like,
yeah,
doesn't justify it, but it's like, I get it. I get it. Sure. Cool. And it's like, she clearly feels bad about it afterwards too.
Yeah.
I wrote, she clearly feels bad about it. It drives her to sleep with August. So who's really losing here? I'm only half joking.
God damn it. That's self-punishment right there.
Ugh.
God damn. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, that is the one scene I skipped for this episode.
God, it's so uncomfortable.
It is. But I watched it enough. I had to choreograph it written out for This Week Hilarska, so I've watched enough.
Yeah, you did your time. I think I got to skip both of, because I think you also had to do the kiss scene.
Oh, yeah, I believe so, yeah.
That was Ace Alice.
Because I remember,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It is kind of how the cookie crumbled, but also it's a situation. It was also a situation that was hilarious where you were like, oh man, which one of us gets the kiss scene? Because I was the one divvying it up, and I was like, oh, you're not the one. You're not worried about which one got the Felice and August sex scene, and you're like, I forgot that was a thing.
I did. I had blocked that out. Yeah. Well, because it's in the last, like, little bit of the episode, so if you just exit Netflix about 5 minutes early, you get to skip it.
I mean, especially if you're trying to avoid Eric's death on a rewatch, you're just like, well, it's like comes right before that little end of the episode, so.
I just realized I skip a lot of Felice's scenes in this episode because they make me uncomfortable. But she doesn't have a lot of screen time.
Well, she's going through it this episode, though.
She really is, yeah.
Even though, like, she's not seen a ton. Like, everything she's going through is
it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. Like,
I guess I only skipped
I don't
2,
know.
but she's not on the
Yeah.
in the app a lot, so.
Yeah. So like, but I don't know. I can't imagine that like Felice is completely abnormal in the way her parents treat her.
No, not especially not when your parents are that rich, you know?
Right. Like it makes a lot of sense. And I would be curious to see like how many people Hilarska could relate to her. But like I think for her a very strong sense of just a deeply ingrained sense of failure. Because it's like, it's not just that like she has expectations placed on her, it's that like who she is failing to meet them.
Yeah.
Like, and not for nothing, I think something I often kind of forget as basically one of the first lines out of Smeeson's mouth when her and Felice are alone together is handing her a dress and saying, "This is too big for me, but I think it would be perfect for you." And it's like I said, like love is criticism. Like Nikita is doing such a fascinating job of still like looking like completely adoring.
Oh, she knocks it out of the fucking park in that scene where she's like, "Oh, thank you," but like that hurts.
Like she's saying these awful things, and it's like the fact that Felice is taking them for love and affection.
Oh yeah.
And like I pointed it out in Art of the Frame. No, I know, Art of the Choice, I think. But like you see for the briefest moment, Felice just being absolutely terrified before her parents arrive.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Like, we talk about anxiety a lot with Wilhelm in this series, but like I think Felice was on the verge of a panic attack, but just was really good at hiding it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm also just thinking like the so many lines in that scene between her and Smeeson. They're just like
fascinating.
Because it's every single thing in there you could just dissect further and further.
Yeah, everything is a backhanded compliment,
and everything is new levels of fucked up.
Yeah,
like having a mom who like not only like this in its own way can be like a totally normal thing of like having a mother who like regularly follows, like looks at your Instagram. Okay, cool. Someone who regularly keeps track of who is liking your Instagram posts.
Terrifying. Terrifying. I mean, in some ways, it's like, you know, Instagram gives you the liked by if you follow somebody who liked, you know? So I'll be scrolling through Instagram and be like, hey, Anton already saw this post.
Yeah.
But I'm not clocking it for every, you know, like that's terrifying.
Yeah. Like the fact that she knows with
that's
authority.
Scary.
Oh, he likes all of your posts.
Yeah, that's scary.
And it's just like, it's on the one hand, it's like, oh, she's taking an interest in her daughter's life. Ooh, yay. But it's like, not in a healthy way. Very much not in a healthy way.
No, she's one of those Life 360 moms that like tells you to plug your phone in because it's at like 42%. Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
I do, but I think we need to contextualize for our audience.
There's an app that lets you track your family members, and it can send alerts to family members about like your phone's battery percentage and like maybe phone usage. I don't know. I don't have the app.
I don't. I had some Life 360 friends growing up.
Yeah. What was
that
like?
Yeah.
what was the Life 360 gang up to?
I mean, I'm not going to tell their stories for them.
No,
but,
please don't.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, I don't know. Basically, I don't know how influential the app is outside of America, or even if it's just maybe even a Midwest thing. I don't even know. But it is most often used.
If it was a Midwest thing.
But like it is for the most part used by parents to keep track of basically everything their child does on their phone.
Yeah. Does it track usage as well? So like it would have sent my mom an alert when I was spending 8 hours on my book app. Like, is that what it does?
I believe it basically sends all data. I'm almost certain.
That's
Like
scary.
app usage. I don't know if it like literally shares search history or stuff like that, but like it has like it has some pretty terrifying power from what I remember.
Your child spent approximately 16 hours today on Archive of Our Own. Maybe check in on them. Why do they have 8 tabs open for the same website? Who knows? Maybe check in on them. Exposing myself here.
I wasn't going to call you out, but I think the listener can tell. Oh, God. I don't know. And it's like, okay, I also don't want to completely let Felice's dad off the hook either. Like, he is mostly ignorant of a lot of things, it seems, or just pretends not to see it.
Did he have a single line this episode?
I mean, he speaks at Parents' Day a little bit. But we also just get context from Felice that his big concern is her grades.
Yeah.
And so he's still putting as much pressure on her. Just in a much different way, and it comes across different. So
yeah,
it's really easy to tear into Smee-sun and like see Papa as just like the like kind of there's a phrase I'm trying to use but I can't remember. The ever suffering husband to the scheming wife, but. No, or not ever, like long, like, or not ever suffering. The phrase I'm looking for is long suffering. Just like that like his wife does all these things without like his knowledge, but like we don't know that, and also he has his own like.
I can't imagine she doesn't talk to her husband about it.
Yeah,
like the first time Wilhelm liked Felice's post.
Yeah, she probably just keeps her cool about it more.
Yeah.
He probably keeps his cool about it more. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's possible if she knew that he might judge her for it, if she was a little more like subtle about it.
I could see that.
Being like, oh, Wilhelm liked Felice's post. Like, oh, that's nice, dear.
Oh, that's nice, dear.
No, one of the only lines he has is everyone you do become a bit like family here.
Mm-hmm.
About
that's true. He do say that.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's like really feel like it's really heavily implied that Smee-sun and Popo both went to Hilerska together.
Yeah.
The way they're both like very just so glowing about Hilerska, it's like clearly you're both alumni.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. Like,
yeah, sure is.
I think in a lot of ways, like, of the like kind of turns the Young Royals can take of like introducing you to a character and then like breaking down who they are, Felice is probably the twist that, to be fair, we've seen the most in media. Like, oh, popular girl actually dealing with a lot of pressure at home.
Yeah, that's like a trope.
It is. But it's
done differently here, but it's like a thing.
But it's also like a trope. Most tropes are tropes because they're effective.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's like you fully get not liking Felice in the first episode, but then you're just like, well, damn.
Yeah, you're like, fuck. This makes
it's
sense.
Like I can't assassinate/hate someone that I get this much and feel this bad for.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like she's still a fucking mess.
Aren't we all?
Affectionate, but like
Thank you.
Felice the messy.
Affectionate in parentheses.
That's a bit much, but I like Felice the messy.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
It's better than Felice the nice.
we really ate with that one. And by that, I'm being very, very sarcastic about that. But
we took
the
a
listeners
nibble
also know
on
that
one.
I mean,
We
the
left
listeners
all
also
the
know that
crumbs.
episode was so short.
Yeah, because we had no emotions about Felice. We probably could have just cut the episode, but still.
She's a core 5. We can't do that.
I know, but we had nothing to say.
The fact that we didn't have anything to say in and of itself said something. I stand by that.
Okay.
Anyways, listeners, you heard how we came up with the answer to the title of the episode. Yeah. With that being said, though, do you have any more thoughts before I wrap us up?
Your thingy.
Yeah, I realized with August, I forgot to ask you if you had anything to add, so we didn't get the usual outrage reaction.
I'm sorry. I can deliver that a little bit here.
It's all good. It was on me for not asking. I think we both just wanted an outro.
Was that when my mic stopped? No. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Listeners don't know that happened.
Oh yeah.
I did a really good job of hiding it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
A little behind the scenes action.
Yeah. Here we go. In the end, this episode finally revealed the source of the yearning for validation and approval that we've already clocked with Felice. Parental issues don't excuse behavior, but they contextualize Felice's character to the point that while she continues to act rather questionably at times, I can no longer fault her for stumbling through a situation that is basically set up to keep her falling. I did not write this. I did not word this correctly.
Basically set up to keep her falling on her face.
Yes. Like, Felice is going through it.
Yeah. She sure is. And I feel bad for her. I feel real bad for her.
I do too. Like, now she slept with August.
She did do that, and that's punishing.
And we'll have to deal with that moving forward. Thank you for listening. Did you have anything to add?
No, I didn't. That was just the funniest fucking. Okay, no, you're perfect. Go ahead.
You're good. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to keep up to date with when we release new episodes and other pod-related announcements, you can check out our Instagram or our threads at People Don't Talk About. Our next episode will be a character standing for Sarah in Season 1, Episode 3, so stay tuned. And with that, all I have to say is, let's start a revolution, baby.